One, two, one, two, three.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a spectacular day. Okay, so I've sort of like reorganized my bookshelves because I wanted to display more of my Harry Potter items for our Harry Potter reread series. So I have this like cute little corner moment, which I'm loving. We're new, we're set up, and today we are going to be talking about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. So I finished book 4, I watched movie 4, and we are going to have a discussion about all things book 4 and movie 4. But before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe because it'll really support my channel. And let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so if you watched my video on book 3 and movie 3, you'll know that my sort of opinion about book 3 and movie 3, I said that the director or like the Harry Potter film series started taking a lot more liberties and making a lot more changes to the book. I also feel that way about book 4, however, I semi-understand why they decided to take out what they did, and I'll explain why in a second. But let's go from beginning to end. So the first thing that I want to talk about is in all of the books, there's a lot more of the Dursleys, and I think that this is because J.K. Rowling really wanted to like juxtapose the way that he felt at home versus like the way that he felt at his true home, which was Hogwarts. So, you know, we get the like 1 or 2 scenes in the movies, but I kind of wish there was a little bit more. So in book 4, Ron actually sends a letter to the Dursleys asking permission for Harry to go to the World Cup, and then the Weasleys actually come and get him, which I thought was really funny because like the Weasleys want to see the Muggles and like experience the Muggle world, and so I thought that that kind of would have been really funny to see the Weasley family interact with the Dursleys, and I totally forgot about that scene. But so that happens in the beginning, which is something that they cut out from the movies, but I kind of wish that they kept in. Oh, so I thought that this was all really interesting. So they go to the World Cup, and there's a lot more talk about hiding the wizarding world from the Muggles. So when they set up the World Cup, they were like, yeah, you know, with the tents, they're Muggle proof. So if a Muggle walks into this area, something will happen and it'll make them turn around and walk away. There's a lot more important emphasis on making sure that the Muggles don't know about the wizarding world, which they like sort of talk about, but not really as much. So I thought that that was kind of important, and I feel like they could have added like a line or two here, but we really don't get any intro to the World Cup. They sort of just walk into their tents and then we're in the play, which I totally get. But yeah, I thought that that was really interesting. We hear a lot more about how the wizarding world functions within the Muggle world. And you only really get that in the books. Okay, so a lot happens at the Quidditch World Cup that I think are important bits that may have been rushed through, or they could have been there. Maybe they're hinted at in the movie, but I kind of feel like we needed a little bit more. So we made a lot of ministry aids at the World Cup. I think they completely got rid of Ludo Bagman, which was a character that I think they were trying to pin in the book. Who put Harry's name in the Goblet of Fire. They were trying to like make it seem like Ludo Bagman did it, but so they completely got rid of him. They also completely got rid of Winky the House Elf. So Winky the House Elf is Mr. Crouch's elf, and Winky's in the whole book, and there's this like whole plot and whole storyline with Mr. Crouch and Mr. Crouch's son and all that kind of stuff, and I feel like the movie really only focused on Mr. Crouch's son. And I get it, because if they were to create another house elf like Winky for the whole movie, it's so much work, right? The CGI is so much work, and we do get Creature later in the films, but the amount of work that goes into that. So I kind of understand, but it's a huge plot hole that they sort of leave out with Winky. Something else that I thought was interesting, when the Death Eaters come, they take a Muggle family hostage, which again, it's showing how like the Muggles then had to be, like their memory had to be fixed and all that kind of stuff. And Draco Malfoy was there during the attack, so we know that he was at the Quidditch World Cup, but we don't see him in the chaos of it during the movie, which I also thought was interesting because it will hint more about Lucius Malfoy being a Death Eater. Also, they end up in the forest when everything's going on. Harry doesn't really see who does the Dark Mark. There's a lot more intricacies about what happens in the book than it just being an empty tent with fire everywhere, and we see Mr. Crouch's son shoot the Dark Mark into the sky. So I understand what they did, but it's funny, I said I wasn't gonna like compare and like say like, oh, I like the movies better, I like the books better, but like the more I read, the more I'm like, oh yeah, like I totally forgot about that. And oh yeah, that makes more sense. There's just so much more world in the books than there are in the movies. Okay, so let's talk about this. So like I said, they got rid of Winky, but they also got rid of Dobby. So Dobby is also a huge part of book 4. They work in the kitchens, which is like this whole other world of like house elves working at Hogwarts, and Hermione becomes obsessed and she wants them to be paid, and like that's a whole other storyline. I mean, I don't know how important that is, but Dobby actually helps Harry in the Triwizard Tournament, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, so they got rid of Dobby in this too. I don't know if it was budget, I don't know, but I am a little upset about the Winky and the Dobby, of them getting rid of Winky and Dobby. Again, like I said, in all of the other books, there's more emphasis on classes, there's more emphasis on the OWLs, there's more emphasis on them learning new things. I didn't realize that Hermione actually helps Harry learn the summoning charm, Accio, which he uses to get his firebolt. In the movie, it just seems like, besides the Patronus, where Lupin teaches him, it seems like Harry just like learns all these spells on his own, and like, no offense to Harry, but he's really not the best wizard. Like in the book, it took them like days and all night to try to help him learn the Accio charm so that he could get the firebolt. So, you know, the movies are like, look, he's an amazing wizard, but like he really wasn't. It took a lot of effort for him to like learn how to be a wizard and to like learn all the charms and learn all that kind of stuff. Okay, something else I want to talk about. Like I said in the third movie, they like added so much more to the time travel than what was in the books. So in book 4, the dragon doesn't break free and follow Harry all over Hogwarts. He gets the egg almost right away, faster than anybody else. So they took the time to add in this crazy dragon sequence. And I don't know that they needed to. I don't know that it maybe would have been more impressive if he were to get the egg right away. Compared to surviving a dragon attack. Plus, I mean, maybe they didn't know about book 7, but, you know, we get the big dragon in book 7 that they could have rode. So I don't know if it was worth the sacrifice of getting rid of Dobby and Winky in terms of, like, characters and in terms of CGI, but then you have to CGI the dragon. I don't know. I mean, they had to make the dragon anyway, so maybe they just wanted to continue with the dragon. I don't know. Okay, I think this is something that people talk about a lot. So Hermione had a blue dress for the ball instead of a pink dress. And I actually don't know if there's any interview about why they chose pink instead of blue. Maybe because all the decorations were blue, you know, like Yule Ball, Christmas, all that kind of stuff. I do have to say the pink is a nice, pretty statement. It's very, like, feminine, and her hair looks really beautiful and curled. Apparently, it's supposed to be a bigger transformation because she's supposed to be not that attractive, but of course, Emma Watson is very attractive. So, also, there's something about her teeth. So, I know that they tried to have Emma Watson wear, like, larger teeth, but she just couldn't talk with them. But in the book, Malfoy makes her teeth grow, and then she shrinks them to like normal size, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, she looks so pretty with her like normal sized teeth. So I just thought that was really funny. But yeah, I wonder why they chose pink instead of blue. If you know, leave a comment or a link to maybe a behind the scenes thing about why they chose pink. Oh, okay, something else. So Rita Skeeter exposes Hagrid as a giant, and then Hagrid and the Mistress of Beauxbaton get into like this huge fight because he thinks that she's a giant too, which I thought was really funny. He was coming out of like a love area, and she was like, I would never be a giant, and then giants are not a thing. Like they the wizards don't like giants, so he gets in trouble. Not in trouble, but they don't want him teaching anymore, the parents and the kids. So I thought that was kind of interesting that we learn about why Hagrid is so tall. Oh, something else that I want to talk about is there's a lot more Sirius Black in this book, and I'm kind of sad that they didn't put him in, because I love that actor, but also like you really get to see Sirius being a godfather. So he does come to him in the fire, but we get so much more information about Karkaroff and like why he was released and like who he gave up and his connection with like Snape and all that kind of stuff. Also, I made a funny note that Sirius comes to Hogsmeade and they meet him in his Animagus form, and Sirius yells at Harry for sneaking out, and Harry gets upset with him like a real godfather. And you know, there's like all these different things that like, I don't know, just bring the like relationship of Sirius and Harry so much deeper, and that I feel like when I'm gonna read what happens to Sirius it's gonna hurt so much more. I mean, it was heartbreaking in the movie, but I feel like they just did so much more with the character Sirius that I kind of wish they added him a lot more into the movie. Another thing, so Harry sees Professor Crouch sneak into Snape's office to steal stuff or to look around. I think we've kind of like got rid of the whole Mr. Crouch storyline, and they made it more about like Moody and the flashbacks of Mr. Crouch's son, which I like get, but Mr. Crouch was, you know, being controlled by Voldemort, and that just shows like how dangerous he was. So, and they already casted him, so I don't know why they like didn't add a couple more scenes of Mr. Crouch's backstory or through story that actually is included in the book. Something else that was really interesting. Dobby is actually the one that tells Harry about Gillyweed, and Harry actually isn't prepared till the day of. Again, obviously they made it about Neville, and that Mad-Eye Moody told Neville, but I don't know, it just shows again like Dobby helping Harry Potter, which I think would again come full circle of the relationship of Dobby and Harry, and then what happens in book 7 will be much more traumatic. I don't know, I just feel like we sacrificed with things like the big dragon sequence when they could have included Dobby in all of these scenes. Something else, I rewatched the movie specifically to see if there is confirmation that they said that Mr. Crouch's son died in Azkaban, and there is no confirmation. Harry asks Dumbledore in the movie what happened, and Dumbledore says, oh, he went to Azkaban. But in the book, it's confirmed that he's dead, and then we get the whole backstory of how actually he wasn't dead and he escaped, which I think is crucial because we've got now 2 people who have broken out of Azkaban, and Mr. Crouch, who works for the Ministry, who is clearly like trying to help his son even though he's evil. So I think we could have had a line about that or something in the movie, because I think that's really important information from the book. Something else that I thought was fun, which is Fantastic Beasts related, Hagrid introduces Nifflers, which I thought would have been so cute, but I get it, that's a whole nother animation thing, but we don't really hear about Nifflers until Fantastic Beasts the movie. Again, we've got this whole sequence with Crouch where Crumb wants to talk to Harry because Crumb thinks that Harry and Hermione are dating, and Harry was like, no, she's just my friend, and then Mr. Crouch comes, and then Harry tries to go get Dumbledore, and then Victor Crumb is attacked, and we think it's Crouch, and it's this whole thing again. Like, I think the only scene in the movie we have is after Tusk 2. Mr. Crouch is laying on the grass in the Forbidden Forest with his eyes open. Maybe that he's dead. I don't know. But again, there's like no information or backstory about Mr. Crouch, which I think I get, but I don't know. He seems to be a really important part of the book. Okay, so then when Voldemort comes back, I thought that that was very well done, book to movie. I thought that there was a little bit more information we could have gotten about where Voldemort was and how he survived, and I don't know, just a little bit more, like maybe like another minute of the scene. But I think that it was really well executed in terms of all of the important information that we needed for the Dark Lord coming back or rising. I thought that that was pretty true to the book. Okay, I also thought that Moody's transformation into Mr. Crouch's son was also really true to the book. It sort of maps out the whole plan of how they basically made it happen. However, we did not include how he escaped, which I get because we didn't talk about Mr. Crouch at all. So I get why they took that out, but I almost think that they should have kept it in and then added a couple more scenes about Mr. Crouch. I don't know that you need Winky, but I don't know. I just feel like we needed a little bit more about how he escaped. Okay, and then something else that I think is important, Karkaroff and Snape are talking because their tattoo is starting to get a little darker throughout the book, and then Snape actually shows his dark mark in the hospital to like prove that he is back. So to prove that Voldemort's back. So I thought that that was really like huge. You know, in the movies, it's they're like hinting that Snape is evil, but he's turned sides, and then we really don't get the redemption or like the other side of the story till movie 7. But in the books, it really seems like he's a Death Eater. Like, really seems like it, and we really don't have any information until the end of the series. So I thought that that was pretty huge for him to show his dark mark. Yeah, I don't know if they should have included that in the movie or not. Again, with more Sirius Black, Sirius comes to Dumbledore's office when he finds out that the Dark Lord has risen again, and he's there to help him. You know, I think that the lack of Sirius in movie 4 is kind of disappointing, like I said, because I love that actor, but also I think it's like the only true family relationship that Harry has. So I would have loved to have more scenes with Harry and Sirius in the movies. And the last thing that I think is key and is so important, and I don't know why they just didn't include one little scene about this. Harry gives his winnings of the Triwizard Tournament to Fred and George to start their joke shop, which I completely forgot about and is so, I don't know. I mean, there's so many things to that. Like, you don't want to take winnings from a contest that was rigged for you and also killed Cedric Diggory. Like, horrible. Who wants to keep that money? Also, Harry has a ton of money, so he doesn't need that money. But him giving it to the twins to start their business, and then the business actually takes off, I don't know. We needed a line. We needed a line or two, because it also shows how much Harry cares about the Weasley family. So yeah, no, I really wish that kind of scene was in movie 4, especially towards the end, you know, like the redemption scenes at the end where he's like back in school and they talk about Cedric and like they like go home on the Hogwarts Express. I don't know. I just really wanted that scene. But yeah, so those are my thoughts about book 4. It's kind of crazy. I can't believe that I read all 4 books in January. I'm on book 5. We're starting book 5. Book 5 is the biggest, so I'm going to try to get through that one. If you have any questions or comments about book 4, about any of the books, or about anything Harry Potter related, please leave a comment below. Please, before you go, don't forget to subscribe because it'll really support my channel. I'm loving this series. I hope you guys are too. I love Harry Potter, and I was doing the reread, so I figured I'd make it a series. I hope you guys like my new little setup with all of my display items. Yeah, so we will be back for Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, book 5, in a couple of weeks, or maybe a week, a couple days. And until then, I will see you guys in the next video.